Someone will always underestimate you. Don't let it be you.
Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go.
Welcome back to a brand new episode of Leaders of the West. If you are somebody who has ever competed at a horse show, if you have attended a livestock event, a county fair, if you have walked through the gates of a fairgrounds, if you have entered a barrel race, a team roping, if you've done anything in someone else's arena on a horse, you have likely experienced the work of today's guest organization, probably without knowing it. So we are sitting down today with the League, which has recently gone through a rebrand, so you may be a little bit more familiar with them, once being known as the League of Agriculture and Equine Centers. They've been around since 1998, and it is the trade organization behind the facilities that host the events in our industry. From their annual symposium, they have a director certification program, a footing academy. The League is really raising the standard for how agriculture and equine facilities operate in North America. And today I am joined by the League's managing director, Dana Jensen, to talk about what it actually takes to run these types of facilities, the career paths that most people never think about that exist, who should be a member of the League. So you don't have to work at a county-owned event center. This is for those of you who are young professionals in the industry. If you are the producer of team ropings or barrel racings, or if you host dressage events and halter shows, you still fit in to be a member of the League. We're also going to talk about where the future of ag and equine events is headed. And then we're also dropping a really fun announcement of a joint town hall that we are hosting next month. So this is a really great episode. Of course, I'm biased. I know that Dana is too, but I welcome you guys to today's episode. Let's listen in. I am so very thrilled to bring you guys not only an incredible guest, but an incredible guest who is representing an incredible organization and one that we are actually working on something pretty special with that will happen next month. So, Dana, I'm going to let you kind of get into it. Our guest today, Dana Jensen, who is representing the League. For anybody who's hearing about the League for the very first time, give us that elevator version. Who is it for? What does it actually do for members? I know people are dying to find out what this is.
Jessie, first of all, thank you so much for having me as a guest on the podcast. I have listened to episodes and am both excited and probably a little nervous to be a guest myself, but it's a huge opportunity and I'm excited all the way around. I'm also excited about the League. I've been the managing director for this organization now for coming on 3 years, but I have been a member of the League as a facility director before I came to work for them directly. The League itself exists, if you will, to advance the industry and really by championing operational excellence, professional development, and then shared standards. And really the organization comes at those 3 pillars through kind of 3 different means. One of them is education. We offer education face-to-face. We do it online. We do it with formal instructors, but also amongst peers. We do roundtables and just an opportunity that leads me to another one of our approaches is networking. We really try to create an environment that is a community of professionals that share common goals, common obstacles, and similar means to reaching goals and getting past obstacles. So that is the purpose of the League. And I know when I came in to the role of a facility director in St. Louis, I like to say, if it went well, I got to take credit for it, whether I did it or not. And if it went poorly, I got to take blame for it, whether I did it or not. And so when I came into that role at a 56 acre, 600 plus stall facility with 5 or more rings for competition, I thought I had enough background and knowledge that, I've got this. I know what I'm doing. I'd been in show management before I turned to facility management. And I found out, no, you don't know how to do everything. So someone, and to be honest, I can't remember to this day who referred me to the league, but I can remember that it is the most valuable professional referral that I've ever received. I was able to become a member of this group and reach out to other individuals in my profession and in my shoes facing the same kind of challenges, problems, obstacles that I was. And that was invaluable to me, invaluable.
I love that. That was the perfect way to really open things up. But now that we've done that, I am going to walk back a little bit. Let's learn a little bit more about you. What is your background? How did you end up in show management and facilities director? And now with the league, you've got to be a horse girl at some point in your journey. So tell us a little bit more about who is Dana Jensen.
Absolutely. I'll go back all the way, what I'll call the beginning. If that's further down this timeline than you guys need, you just get me back onto the path. But as a kid, I grew up in Ponder, Texas. If you are familiar with Ponder, it is the neighboring city to Justin, where they make Justin boots. I lived across the street from a family where the head of the household was a world champion calf roper. His name was Bobby Seals. And as neighbors are, I was friendly with his daughter, who was close to my age. And at that kindergarten level is when I first had my taste of the horse addiction, if you will. We used those quarter horses like a jungle gym.
I believe it.
Right. From there, the addiction was in place. I'd like to say Country Mouse moved to the city. And when we moved away from Ponder, I ended up trading labor for lessons for much of my life. And then ultimately, when I graduated from college, I bought myself a horse out of the newspaper. That tells you a few things on my age, but also the way best practices can be modified. But that was my first own horse I bought for myself. And then that took me down a path of lessons and then competition and then local clubs, getting on the board of local clubs, and then eventually helping with event management and event hosting. So to keep this brief, you can rinse, repeat that story. I did take a break from horses in favor of boys, got married, had a child, and then had an opportunity to get back into horses when I was there in St. Louis. And so I once again was able to get a very nice dressage horse, and I began competing in dressage. And again, here we go. Joined the local club, joined the local board, decided, I can put on a good event here. I know what I want as a competitor, so I know what I can provide as a promoter. And then started doing shows in the St. Louis area at the National Equestrian Center, which eventually would become my employer as I became the facility director there. I like to say I switched sides of the desk, if that makes sense.
You at least make money from horses and events versus just having to pay your entry fees and never making a dime at it, right? You are pretty dang smart.
That's right. I made my hobby a career.
I love that. So the league itself, obviously you guys have recently gone through a rebrand because it used to be referred to as the League of Agriculture and Event Centers. Now it's just been shortened to the league, but you guys have been around since 1998. So that's almost 30 years now. But a lot of producers and venue managers don't necessarily know that the organization exists. So what do you say to the facility director or the producer of any kind? And again, it doesn't have to be a producer related to an event center. It can be somebody who just puts on barrel races or who puts on team ropings, right? We're talking about any equine discipline producer, dressage, any of these shows. Who is the right person to get involved?
A great question. The right person to get involved is anyone in our industry. And specifically by industry, I mean the equine and ag event industry. Whether you are the show host and manager, whether you are the venue manager, whether you are a young professional coming up through the industry, love this industry, because that is certainly a quality we have in common, is a passion for what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Young professionals, all of those individuals are the right people for the league. Obviously, for variable reasons, but absolutely perfect for what we do. And you had mentioned, Jessie, that we've recently undergone a rebrand. And I just want to take a moment to say that besides kind of freshening, if you will, our look and elevating our persona virtually, one of the more fundamental core elements that triggered or inspired the rebrand was an expansion on our eligible membership.
Yes.
From our inception, we were serving specifically the event venue manager.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are welcoming producers, young professionals, breed associations. Again, all of us who are connected inherently to one another by being in the industry, but we would like to make that connection a community where we can understand one another's needs, one another's challenges, and then we can help collaborate and find solutions that work for all parties that participate in this incredible industry.
When it comes to life with horses, Purina Animal Nutrition understands that the little moments matter. It could be time spent in the saddle, on the road, or back home at the ranch. But it's also the time you spend asking questions, learning, and always trying to do what's right by your horses. Here at Purina, these moments matter to us too. For more than 130 years, our team has crafted feeds we're proud to stand behind and give our own horses. Because just like you, we're animal people. I love that. And it really reminds me of any other association or organization out there. And I say that because my historical background is in the cattle industry, and I worked for our state cattle association right out of college. In an environment like that, there are producer members. You are either a cow-calf producer or you're a purebred producer. And those look a little bit different, obviously. Then there's people who are part of the feeding industry. So maybe they have a feed yard or a grow yard of some kind. They're backgrounders. Then there's obviously processors, because that's another element of the industry. There's also what we referred to as allied industry members. So those companies like the Elanco's and the Mercks, and they develop the vaccine and the animal health and pharmaceuticals and the nutritional elements that are required in our industry, or even natural resource advisors, things of that nature. So all of those different people can still be represented under the same type of organization, because they all have some tie to the heart of moving that industry forward. And I use that as an example because, again, that is basically exactly what you guys have recently done within this last year for the league. Instead of being a place for agriculture and event center managers, which for many of us, we're probably going to be most familiar with, your county has some kind of fair or rodeo, some kind of fairgrounds, that would then fall under as an agriculture and event center. I know that our county fair is going on in this moment of us recording. And so if I were to drive down there right now, that place is packed with tons of events. So our director would obviously have been an incredible member, and maybe they are, who knows? But for that first 30 years of the iteration of the league. But now what you guys are doing is really being able to bring in the types of people who are still highly involved, even though their paycheck doesn't come specifically from that event center in that reliable fashion.
Exactly. By the way, I couldn't have summarized any better. So eloquently said. Thank you for doing that on my behalf. Yes, the expansion to the event promoter as an eligible member or participant in the league really is a natural evolution in my mind, because where do you have events in a facility? And if the facility isn't having events, what are we doing? So we really have a symbiotic relationship. I know that certainly there are moments where we want something from one another that is difficult to give, but the desire is there. And I really think that the league can give an opportunity to communicate more fully, completely, when it comes to those moments where we need to better meet one another's either limitations or even their expansions, their dreams, right? What they're reaching or stretching for. We can do that more successfully when we do it together.
Oh, I could not agree more. There are 3 specific things that you guys do that I want to touch on, but the first I feel like is the biggest. I'm not going to save the biggest to last. I'm just going to hit it. We're going to talk about it now, and that is footing academies. So you guys host footing academies, and I genuinely believe this is probably one of the most underrated resources within our industry. Walk us through what exactly those look like, especially for people who didn't necessarily know that this existed. And I want you guys to also keep in mind that for the majority of us in agriculture and Western industries, we're probably thinking of this from the mindset of footing. Okay, so rodeo or cutting, reined cow horse, those types of events. But I also want us to keep in mind that there are a pile of other equine disciplines that also have to have their own specific footing requirements and best practices, basically.
Absolutely. The ideal footing conditions for, let's say, a reiner and for a saddlebred park horse class are going to be so very different. And so a facility that wants to provide opportunities to more than one discipline, more than one style of riding or competition has to learn the ways to change their footing over to meet the needs and the conditions by the individual discipline. So yes, the league's footing academy is a tremendous opportunity for individuals to become familiar with footing needs of the different disciplines. And to make a note there, we have a FA 101 introduction to footing. And this is a fantastic class no matter what your role is in the picture. It can be a great education for even county commissioners who they don't horse, they don't ag, but they know they're being asked to invest in this very significant element of the facility, right? So even a footing academy is great for someone who's, if you will, not on the front line of activity.
Just to get a broader understanding of the importance that is dirt. And again, if you're going to have to bring in dirt is not all equal. There are a variety of types of dirt, obviously for different reasons. They retain moisture, they don't retain moisture, but then also to the expense behind it, because holy cow, is that stuff expensive, right? So let's make sure that the investment that we're making in these facilities is the right one for the types of events that we plan to host. There's no point in bringing in literal tons of dirt that ends up not providing the right conditions for the types of events that you're planning or that you know you've held in the past and want to continue to do so.
That's exactly right. Dirt is not dirt is not dirt. It is very important what you purchase in terms of whether this is, you're right, sand or clay, a combination. What is the ratio of one to the other? Then there is an opportunity out there for synthetics have a place in the market. There are so many different options to choose from. It's really important to know how to choose wisely. So this footing academy for the FA 101 is really going to try to touch on 3 segments or 3 pillars. They are going to be the designing of the arena, the equipment that you need in that arena, and that would actually include the, if you will, the sand or the dirt or the soil elements that are going on in there, but also the knowledge component. What do reiners need? What do barrel racers need? What is too much water? What is not enough water? How often do I do it? If I don't have an event for the next 3 weeks, can I not just leave it lay fallow? No, but here's why. So all of these kinds of practical elements are offered in our FA 101. The league does also have what we call the Advanced Footing Academy, the FA 301. These are for graduates of the 101 who have had experience, say, doing a little footing work, doing some dragging, working with different drags. The 301 will then be a hands-on class that goes 2 days. That then it's a restricted class. We only have 6 people who attend at a time so that everyone gets very close.
Very hands-on, very intimate. We're getting down and dirty, literally.
Literally. And that then allows folks to take the knowledge that they learned from the 101, the preliminary experiences they've tried in their own independent environment, and it really then gives them an opportunity to demonstrate and refine what they do, how they know to do in the 301. All of our participants are given a scenario where they do have to do an imagined facility turnover, or if you will, arena turnover. They are asked, for example, to change over from a dressage ring to a barrel racing ring. And so what do you have to do? Show me how to do it. And then they get evaluated on the end product that they produce. It's really an amazing chance to be with professionals, experts who have worked in the industry doing this kind of job for a long time.
That absolutely is. And as imagined, again, why I saved the best for first is because I know that there are so many people within our industry who we always hear about complaints about dirt or ground. And so I think that this is an incredible resource that more people, again, need to know about, that it exists. This is, like you said, not even for those of us who are involved into the industry or would refer to ourselves as horse girls or horse boys, but those who county commissioners or people who are involved in the success of these types of event centers, especially as we continue to move forward, because those jobs are also often very tricky to find. One of the things that we found too is when it comes to county commissioners and county entities, they are disconnected for the most part from agriculture. And so they may often hire somebody who understands the business side of things, but then doesn't understand the agricultural element or the equine element or the Western sports element as needed, which can definitely be taught. Don't get me wrong, but this is the type of teaching that is able to be provided. You guys also do something else. You have the industry's only facility director certification. And that is part of, is it Middle Tennessee State, I believe? So can you tell me a little bit more about that certification and what does it take to earn that?
Absolutely. The league does offer right now the industry's only certified manager of equine center credential. It is a curriculum that invites participants to receive education in 3 primary areas: business management, facility operations, and event operations.
Oh,
A total of 45 credits are needed to be eligible to apply for the CMEC. And that is a timeline. It's reasonable to think you could accomplish 45 credits in a 3-year period and then apply for the CMEC. That process involves an application. It also requires a research paper. It's not the longest thing you probably ever wrote in high school or college, but it's about a 5-page paper that is on a topic relevant to the industry. It's an opportunity. It's like a first step, if you will, to providing mentorship to others in the community through this written format. It not only demonstrates not only knowledge of the industry, but also your opportunity to share that with others in the community.
that is incredible.
As you mentioned, it is with Middle Tennessee State University. Yes, it is in allegiance with Middle Tennessee, and any credits earned in the CMEC program can be used toward credits in particular programs at the university.
Oh, okay. Very fascinating. So paint me a picture. Who is and again, I hate to make a stereotype, but who is kind of the typical person who takes this facility director certification?
Typically, even though it's certified managers of equine centers, we have many more participants than managers. Operational staff often participate in this program. You know, it's a nice little element on a resume if you are into letters at the end of your name, and I have to confess I probably am. That's nice there. But also, it is truly professional development. Even if you do not have the aspirations to run an entire facility, it is still continuing education that is relevant to what is going on in our industry today. It doesn't get aged. It doesn't get dusty by being previous videos or online segments, but that it's an ongoing, perpetual update, if you will, to education for anybody at any level.
That is incredible. Well, on the topic of education, I feel like that is the perfect way to kind of segue into us getting to share our collaboration, which is upcoming. So we are hosting together with the league a town hall on 2026 hiring trends, tips, best practices. This is specifically for producers of events, for those who would be any kind of affiliation with an agriculture center or an event center of any kind. If you are involved in putting on basically any event within the equine industry, the Western sports industry, this is an incredible opportunity. Also, I would say the same for those of you who are county commissioners, right? Because you're the one who is going to approve hires to some degree and salaries. And so we're really going to dig into those hiring trends, tips, best practices, again, for people who are full-time, part-time, contract labor, seasonal, temporary type help. And we get to do that in partnership with you guys. That is going to be held Thursday, September 24th. It is at 11 a.m. Mountain Time. So that's 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. I believe I got all of those correct. I had to kind of run through them in my head. But it's absolutely free for anybody to attend. It's going to be about an hour long. It's going to be online. So it is a virtual town hall. I will make sure that we drop the link to sign up for those of you who are interested in the show notes. And then there's also going to be some emails sent out through Of the West. But the show notes, if you're somebody who's listening to this right now and you're like, oh yeah, I definitely want to go to that, please scroll down, click that link. You've got to do your first name, last name, and email address, and then you will be off to the races. You'll get a confirmation email, and then we'll continue to keep you updated with those links. You get a calendar invite, all of that. But we really came to this because, one, you guys have hosted town halls over the course of this last year on a variety of different events. And so your team came to us and said, we've had a lot of questions about hiring, the challenges that are in that, and how to be better, how to have stronger team culture, because this is something that plagues every single industry across the board, not just those within agriculture. And since we are one of the leaders when it comes to hiring as a whole, especially within our industry, it was obviously a natural fit, but something that I hear constantly from both sides of the West platform is that the hiring in especially the agriculture industry and Western sports has obviously changed. From where the league sits, what are facilities and event producers really struggling with the most right now when it comes to staffing, which is obviously one of the reasons that you guys had reached out about hosting this town hall?
That's exactly true. What I understand, what I'm hearing from the most voices is that finding qualified staff, skilled staff, has got to be one of the largest challenges that we are all facing, whether that's at the promoter level, if that's at the ongoing center level. Finding qualified staff who would like to be on a career path. Add that second element on as if you will, a twist, or to make it even more challenging to find the right combination of characteristics. Those are the areas that we hear the most about. This opportunity in the town hall, I think, is tremendous because we will be able to hear from many, right? Everyone that attends is welcome to participate, raise their voice, let us know, what are you facing? But what also have been your strategies for addressing it? Some things may have worked well, but even if they didn't, you can at least heads up to anyone else to just, that didn't go as well as we thought it. It's really the exchange of ideas, right? And that is the irreplaceable opportunity that a town hall can provide to us.
I love that, especially on the what's not working. I think sometimes learning what's not working can be even more valuable than learning what is working, because you think, okay, I'm not going to avoid that expensive mistake. And that kind of at least should narrow down your available choices.
That's right. No reason to get in the sand pit if you don't have to.
No. And I think too, I'm not going to give any tips or advice here because I want you guys to come to our town hall. But I think one of the things that you just so very eloquently relayed was the difficulty in finding qualified people. Well, you guys, if you're listening to this and you love Western sports and you want to be part of producing those events, or you want to have some kind of involvement, the league is the perfect place to become that young professional member or the producer member. And then with all of these different town halls and the resources provided by attending those and the networking opportunities and meeting people, that's the stuff that qualifies you for these types of roles. If you are somebody who ends up with this CMEC, the facility director certification through Middle Tennessee, if you end up with that on your resume, that is absolutely going to show that you are the qualified candidate. And I can guarantee you're going to stand out among the rest of the people who are probably applying for that same role. So I love that the problem that is within this industry when it comes to finding the right people is literally together a problem that Of the West solves and that the league solves, which again, just makes it so perfect that we get to host this event together. Dana, is there anything else that you want to add about that before I take us to our rapid fire round? I feel like we've talked a whole lot about the league today, which was very warranted, but we want to get to know you a little bit more too.
I appreciate that. I am looking forward to the town hall. The league is always looking for the next generation to join us also, right? I think it's a common situation where by the time you reach that management level in your career, whether that's, again, hosting the show or running the venue, once we get to that level, we're often on the way into the golden years, right? We're looking ahead to actually stepping away from the industry. I just would like to encourage to come to the town hall if you are beginning your career in this passionate and unique field. I mean, there is no other industry quite like this equine and ag event industry. It's very nichey, but it is also very rewarding. So if you are currently in a program at the university level, if you've just started helping out in the office, or if you have just signed on cleaning stalls as a side hustle or even a full-time job, this is still something that very much you should attend. There is benefit for everyone along this ladder.
Oh, well, amen to that. I completely wholeheartedly agree. I feel like we could honestly probably just stop there. But again, then we wouldn't get to learn more about you. And that's one of my favorite parts of being able to host this show. So we're going to move to our rapid fire round. Question number 1, what do you hope people remember most about you?
I actually had to give this more thought than I would have expected. I landed on this. I want people to remember most about me that I made a positive impact. And probably I mean that for the business, for the industry, but I really mean it also for the individual people that are in the sphere of my influence, right? I want them to remember, and I'll say it this way, that I did good. I didn't just perform well.
Yes.
If I can accomplish that, I can say I'm accomplished.
Oh man, I feel that exact same way. What is a non-negotiable in your life?
Again, some reflection on this, and where I landed was truth-telling.
Ooh, yes, that's a good one. Okay, if you were a professional athlete, what would your walk-up song be?
The hardest question for me to answer yet so far. This is what I'm going with, though. The song The Man by Aloe Black.
Oh,
You may
I
have
like that.
You have to do a little search on Spotify if you're not familiar with it.
Well, no, I know exactly what it is. But so that is something every time I write these down, and then after every single interview, I go put that in. Of the West has a little walk-up song playlist. So if anybody ever needs like some motivation for the day, it's all of the walk-up songs from our guests. So I wrote that down. I'm going to go add that in there. I'll make sure, I think it's been a minute since we've shared that link with you guys. I'll make sure that that is in the show notes as well, because it is a fun little listen. Anytime I need a pump up day, that is always the one that I go to, because these are the wisest people in our industry, and they're giving you their hype song, basically.
Yes.
What is the smartest thing someone's ever told you?
The smartest thing that I have been told, I won't be able to quote who it was, but I know I came across the quote and I have adopted it, I'll say, for my own. And it's this: someone will always underestimate you. Don't let it be you.
Ooh.
Right?
That is very good.
That has really helped pick me up on hard days, or even when I had opportunities that I thought were bigger than I could take on. I can be fearless, but I can also say, oh, that's really big. And I'd say, don't underestimate yourself, Dana. Get out there and get it done.
I love that. I'm writing that down as you said that, and I'm sure that we'll also have to pull that for a quote. It's been a minute since we've shared one of those, but man, that is good. Okay, last question for the day. Favorite things. Do you have a favorite podcast, book, a service, maybe a life hack, something that has just changed your life and you want more people to know about it?
I would say this. I probably have not mainstream favorites, if you will. If I get a chance to read a classic book, I'm talking about a Shakespeare play. I'm talking about some C.S. Lewis. I'm talking about some old throwbacks that you may or may not have encountered anytime recently, or if at all. Go back to some of the tradition literature and take a look-see there. There is a lot of wisdom, a lot of plot twists, and a lot of interesting storylines to follow, even again, if those books have a little dust on them. That's one of my favorite things to do.
That's one of those things that they really are timeless. Like, I think that is really where that definition comes from, is from the arts. When it comes to what was once cool is always going to still be in style and very classic. And these are not trendy things. Of course, they're probably going to have their trendy moments, but they really are just so rooted in value and importance. And I love that. That was an incredible answer. Okay, you guys, do not forget the League of the West coming together, joining forces. to bring you a town hall on Thursday, September 24th. It is 11 a.m. It is free to attend. It is going to be online. Sign up at the link in our show notes, and then you will receive that calendar invite and the Zoom link via email. But we are going to be bringing all of the tips and tricks and best practices when it comes to hiring. It is going to be such an incredible event. And there are some specific producers I have envisioned in my mind that I want to see there. So if you are listening to this and then you get a text from me in about a week that says, hey, I think you should sign up for this, that's your sign. So Dana, thank you so much for today. I hope that you guys all enjoyed this episode just as much as I did. Also, to do us a favor, if you have a local ag and event center in your county, in your community, which I'm sure that you do, will you share this episode with them? Because that is the next step into continuing to make this Western sports industry that we all know and love and care about, continue to see it grow and scale, especially for those that are county-owned entities, that the people who may be in charge are a little bit more removed from our industry. I think that this is really vital to make sure that these types of centers and buildings are part of a membership like the league, because that is the thing that connects them back to the people who utilize these centers. So thank you guys so much. Please share this episode. It would really mean the most to me, and I know to the entire crew at the league as well. But we will see you here in about a month for our town hall. We will have a brand new episode of the show next week, so we will see you then.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.